welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something big. We're talking about burnout, but probably not in the way you're used to. We're going to tear down the whole idea of self-care as you know it and rebuild it from the ground up. Okay, so let's start here with this really powerful image. It's something therapist Janice McWilliams talks about, a cast sheep. And trust me, it's the perfect metaphor for what deep, soul-crushing burnout actually feels like. You know that feeling, just completely stuck? You're on your back, your feet are in the air, you're kicking and struggling, but you're not going anywhere. There's just no way out. That right there, that's the feeling. So let's get a little more specific. When we talk about burnout, we're not just talking about having a bad day or a tough week. No, it's a process. It's this long, slow slide into total physical and emotional exhaustion. You end up feeling hopeless, helpless, just empty. All your energy, all your concern for anything, gone. So let's really get into it. All right, so how does this happen? What does that burnout trap actually feel like when you're in it? How do you go from being totally fine to feeling like that cast sheep we just talked about?
You know, there's this old psychology experiment, it's kind of harsh, I'll admit, that Dr. Snipes points to, and it just perfectly explains a huge piece of burnout called learned helplessness. Basically, after the dog gets shocked, no matter what it does, it learns that nothing it does matters. Its efforts are totally useless. So what does it do? It just gives up. It lays down and takes the pain. That feeling of, why even bother trying? I mean, does that ring a bell for anyone?
And it's not just our motivation that gets wrecked. Dr. Snipes explains that burnout completely messes with our emotions. Think of your internal stress system as a battery. When you're burnt out, that battery is just fried. It's so worn down that it can't regulate properly. So what happens? Most of the time, you feel nothing, just flat, gray, kind of like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. But then, the second a new little stressor comes along, bam, you don't have the juice for a normal reaction. You go straight from 0 to 100, from totally numb to absolutely furious over something tiny. Okay, so when we're feeling like that, flat, furious, and totally stuck, what's the first thing everyone tells us to do? You just need some self-care, right? Well, that advice, it leads us right into what we're going to call the great self-care myth. And look, you've probably done it. We all have. You book the spa day, you take the vacation, you use a mental health day. But as the book Restore My Soul really nails here, it just doesn't work. Not for long anyway. It doesn't give you that deep, lasting relief you are desperate for. Why? Because it's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken bone. Therapist Janice McWilliams has this brilliant name for it. She calls it Barbie-style self-care. And it's perfect, right? You can just picture it. Spa day Barbie with the little face mask and the tiny cucumbers over her eyes. It's cute, it's fun, but it's all on the surface. It's skin-deep pampering that does absolutely nothing for the real messy stuff going on inside. And this is where McWilliams really draws the line in the sand. On one side, you've got that one-dimensional Barbie-style care. It's all about reacting. You're taking a vacation because you're burnt out. You're watching a movie to escape your own thoughts. It's a survival tactic. But on the other side, that's life-sustaining self-care, and it's a totally different ballgame. It's not a reaction. It's a constant, gentle practice of checking in with your inner world so you don't get to the point where you need to be rescued at all. So, if spa days and vacations aren't the answer, what is? Where does the real work begin? Well, it starts right between your ears. It starts with your thoughts. Okay. First things first, this is a huge point from Restore My Soul that can be a total game changer. Thoughts, they just happen. They literally just pop into your head out of nowhere. You don't pick them, you don't control them, and you are not a bad person for having them. The real power, the real freedom, isn't in stopping the thoughts. It's in deciding what you do after they show up. And one of the most powerful and simplest tools for this comes from something called acceptance and commitment therapy. The next time a thought grabs you, just pause and ask yourself one simple question. Is this thought helpful? That's it. Just asking the question creates this little pocket of space. It's like putting up a tiny fence between you and that spiraling thought. Okay, But what about when a thought really gets you? You know, the ones that trigger a huge emotional reaction? For those moments, writer Evan Donovan shares this amazing 5-step process from Pastor Rich Villodaus. This is gold. It's a roadmap that takes you from just reacting on autopilot to consciously processing what's going on. It's how you go from being a prisoner of your thoughts to actively working with them. All right, so once we start creating a little space from our thoughts, we're ready for the next layer. We can go deeper. We can start to explore our emotions. You know, we do this all the time. We judge our emotions. Anger is bad. Happiness is good. But as many counselors point out, that's not how we're wired. We were built to experience all of them. There are no wrong feelings. The only place we get into trouble is how we choose to act on them. I love this metaphor. Think about your emotions like a stack of trays in a cafeteria line. So often we only pay attention to what's on the top tray. Maybe it's just a general feeling of ugh or being annoyed. But the real work, the really important stuff, is in having the courage to ask, okay, what's on the trays underneath this one? And here's a super practical tool from Pete and Gary Scazzaro to help you do just that, to look under the top tray. Just take a second and ask yourself these 4 simple questions. It's amazing what comes up. You start to see the whole messy, complicated, and totally human mix of emotions that are really going on, way below the surface. So, all of this, it brings us to a really important realization. This isn't about a quick fix. It's not a checklist of things to do. Real self-care isn't an activity at all. It's a whole new way of living. It's about consciously, intentionally designing a life that is truly sustainable for you. And what does that look like? Well, it means building some key skills. Things like learning how to set real boundaries to protect your energy. Building a support system, because, let's be honest, we cannot do this alone. Finding a rhythm of work and true rest that actually works for you. Learning to be kind to yourself when you mess up, because you will. And maybe most important of all, figuring out what actually gives your life meaning, so you know where to point your energy. So in the end, what we're talking about here isn't selfish. It's not a luxury. It's the absolute essential, foundational work you have to do to live the life you actually want to live. It's what allows you to show up for yourself, for your job, for the people you care about as your whole self. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What's one small, sustainable practice you can start today?